Hello, welcome to the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. I'm the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom, and we're up in the turret of pleasure. I'm Zip Gunn. We're talking about where not to start with various bands. Where don't you start with certain bands? Well, today I was going to pick out Black Flag. Black Flag are seminal LA hardcore band. Like a lot of bands, they had a lot of lineup changes. And particularly in the position of, well, they had a lot of lineup changes all over the place. Greg Ginn, the only member that lasted the whole time, he still runs the band. Right off the get-go, where not to start anything that he's done recently. He did put out a Black Flag record a few years ago. It's unlistenable. Got nothing to do with the original Black Flag. Black Flag were very, very, very influential, and really they were the sort of model for DIY hardcore punk rock, particularly in things like making their own records, booking their own tours, taking their own PA with them, real DIY. And they made a fair quantity of pretty great music. But there's a lot of it, or they did a lot. They had a weird career because they started out as a just guitar, bass, drum, lead vocals. Did one single, 4-song single. Changed singers. Did one 5-song EP. Changed singers. Did one 3-song EP and a couple of comp tracks. And then finally added a singer. Turned that singer into the guitar player. And that singer, of course, was Henry Rollins. Black Flag is generally associated with Henry Rollins on lead vocals. He sang on all their albums. And but now, having said this, it would be nice and glib to say, okay, where not to start? Well, anything that doesn't have Henry on it. Well, no, because the early stuff is great. In fact, some of it's, if anything, every bit as good, maybe even better than Henry's stuff. So where not to start? Well, don't start. There's a couple of instrumental records, and one that's half instrumental, half Henry's poetry. Don't start with those. The later ones become slightly ponderous, in my head, loose nut. The live albums, avoid their live albums. And again, I hate to say it because it's turning out to be this way with a lot of bands, but their first album, which is Damaged, is really their apotheosis. It's the first. Their first album. It's got Henry on it. It has Dez on rhythm guitar. It features all of their great songs. All of the closest thing they had to a hit, TV Party, Six Pack. It's got Damaged, which is pretty intense. It's mostly fast and short. Got a couple of great bass player Chuck Dukowski songs. He was an important early member. And it also got them thrown in jail and into lawsuits and God knows what. But as albums go, that's the only real one. They did make a compilation called The First 4 Years, which is more like a long EP. Their songs were very short. So a long EP of them is basically an album. And this featured all the singles from Keith Morris on vocals for their first record. And then he was replaced by Ron Rees, or as they call him, Chavo Pederast. And he kind of got kicked out of the band, toot sweet. And then Dez Cadena joined. And Dez is sort of he's a sentimental favorite of mine because he's got no voice at all. He's just a croak. And but he sounds completely crazy. There's a couple of great videos of him. But Dez just couldn't keep it up, I think. And he really wanted to play guitar. So when Henry came to see them, legendary story, Henry went to see them in New York. He lived in Washington. Took the day off of his Haagen-Dazs ice cream job. And they asked him up to sing a song. So he did. And they were like, hey. And then they phoned him up and said, you want to be our singer? Rest is history. A very good band. Very influential amongst, in many ways, outside of their sales. They had their own record label, SST. Greg Ginn really started it. Ginn became a little bit of a weirdo. He moved to Texas. He's really big on rescuing cats, which is laudable because I like cats myself. but nobody from the band will speak to him anymore, and he's fired his... Ron Reyes rejoined the band for a tour of Australia, and in mid-song was fired by some skater dude who took over. So there's a whole bunch of politics involved. Ex-members are playing in a band called Flag, Black Flag. There's legal crap. So try to ignore all that. Have nothing to do with the band now. It's not all just bullshit. Go back and listen to Damaged, or the first 4 years. My War is pretty good, but it slows down in the second side. They're all okay, but Damage is head and shoulders the best. Warning, the sonics of these records are not excellent. So if you don't like dim-sounding punk rock, you're not going to like them too much. Okay, good. Thanks for watching. Black Flag, don't start with the live ones. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll notify you if you want about these. And we'll keep hacking away at these. I've got a list. People are sending in suggestions, so I'm trying to take on the suggestions. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon.